Good evening, one and all. This lecture series today we are going to discuss about the second topic, types of machine learning. In our last video, we will discuss about these basics of machine learning. We'll discuss the difference between machine learning, then functionalities of machine learning, how these machine learning will differ from the traditional programming. All these concepts are discussed in our previous class. Today we are going to discuss about the topics in the name of three different types of machine learning. The first one is supervised learning. Second one is unsupervised learning. The third one is reinforcement learning. And another one is learning method is there named as semi-supervised learning. See, now we are going to discuss all these types with some example. So start with the supervised learning. The supervised learning, it always predict the next value, a kind of task-driven approach. The second thing, the unsupervised learning, forming or create or identify some clusters. The second, unsupervised learning will depend data-driven task. The third one, reinforcement learning. The reinforcement learning will focus some previous history and current scenario and future predictions. So it is called as reinforcement learning. It purely depends, learn from mistakes. We'll gather something from previous to current. Now I am going to discuss the first one, supervised learning. The supervised learning will include some training data and also compare the desired outputs with the expected outputs. The second one, the unsupervised learning. The unsupervised learning having training data, but it does not include any desired outputs. To produce some clustering or identify some clustering from your data set. The semi-supervised learning will depend some training data and also it includes some desired outputs. In some or in some cases, it will depend some desired outputs. The last one, the reinforcement learning. The reinforcement learning is focused about the rewards or mistakes. The rewards are mistakes from sequence of actions or previous history. See, this is the major difference between all these four learning. First, we'll discuss about the supervised learning. The supervised learning, I'm going to describe the supervised learning with some example. I'm giving set of apples. For this case, these apples include, like, the apple may include some colors and shapes or some characteristics. This color, some size, this is named as attributes. All these attributes are already trained with some trained data. With this trained data, this particular model easy to predict. This one is apple. So based on the previous trained data, the machine learning algorithms will predict this one is apple. This is a simple example for supervised learning. So only we previously discussed the supervised learning purely depend some task driven or predictions. Based on the characteristics or attributes, it will predicts the outcomes or task. So it is a predict based task. The unsupervised learning purely depends some training data, but it never disturbs the desired outputs. So the unsupervised learning needs no previous data as input. This is not a predictive model, but actually how these unsupervised learnings are working, it is the method that allows the model to learn on its own using the data which you give. If you are giving some different data, different fruits, it will categorize or it may be produce some clustering based data. So how these data are predictions, the data is not labeled. In our previous example, the supervised learning, the data are labeled. You are labeled something. This is apple. The machine will predict, yes, this one is apple, based on the attributes, based on the previous history. But here, the non-labeled data are identified with the help of some machine learning algorithms. So this is a simple example for unsupervised learning algorithm. The unsupervised learning algorithm, the given data set or the given input having a different cat and different dogs. What the unsupervised learning model will produce the output? It is easy to categorize cats and dogs in different cluster. So this is called as a kind of cluster identification or group identification. So how these algorithms work? Based on the non-labeled data. The non-labeled data will label or group with the help of some training inputs. So the next one is semi-supervised learning model. The semi-supervised learning method is always combined the unsupervised and supervised learning. But in some situations only they are relay or depends the desired outcomes. The semi-supervised learning data, some learning algorithms combined with unlabeled data, and also it having some labeled data. Based on this, some labeled or some output is produced by the classifiers. The last one is reinforcement learning. The reinforcement learning is always purely depends on previous history or how to learn, or it is giving some input about make decision, not predictions, how our next step is going to execute by the machine. The machine will take some decisions from the previous or the current situation to next situation. So this is a simple example. One of the dog is sitting, named as agent. In the state, the present state, the dog is moved to next level. If suppose the dog is planned to walk from one situation, one place to another place, then we will give some reward. Still, the dog is in the idle position, we will give some punishments or refine the system. The machine learning or the reinforcement learning algorithms mainly improves or giving some rewards based on the feedback. This is the major example for reinforcement learning. So another one example, based on the environment, the bot will take some measure actions. If the bot will identify some fire in the room, immediately it will helps to close this problem. Like need to take some waters and put it, throw it in the fire, then the case will close. If suppose the robo or this bot will give some negative outcomes, will give the negative points. If suppose the bot will produce the correct outcomes, will give the rewards. So this is the major example of reinforcement learning. So these are all the assessment questions for our second video. In the upcoming video, detailing will describe about all these three different types of learning. Thank you. Thank you for your patient listening. We will meet in our next video. Thank you.